So I was doing some washing up this week. I've made that sound like that is an incredible thing. It's not. I do the washing up, and it got me thinking about some practical magic. So this is a Dow Egbert's coffee jar, and if I'd done the washing up a bit better, I could have got that off. Actually, this is stuck on quite hard actually, so it does need some sort of form of chemical or a good long soak to get that off, and the bit around the top. But this is a really, really good jar, and I'm going to explain what it's good for in a minute. And also we have an oregano spice jar. You get these in all the supermarkets, different brands and stuff. I think this one is actually an Aldi one, but I think you get, is it Schwartz? All sorts of brands, and you get spices in these, herbs, and you also get those like blends that you put on meat, on like chicken and stuff. But this one has got a green lid, and that's helpful, that's important. So these have been really good. I have actually used one of these in Magick before now, many, many years ago, back when I was living in Suffolk the first time. I was looking for a job because we just moved there, and there was a job that I had seen that I really, really wanted. Now, when I was younger and I was brave and had a lot of energy and a lot of just, I don't know, belief in myself, I phoned up the company and said, there's a job that you're advertising, and I think I'm the right person to work for you. And they weren't, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good thing to do. I think that shows initiative and willing and enthusiasm. But I didn't get very good vibes from them, I must admit. But they took my details, and I didn't think anything more of it. But I decided to do a spell because things were getting pretty desperate. And so I crafted, I suppose it was kind of like a money/job spell. And I used one of these jars. Now, green is the colour of money, it's associated with money. And in this jar, I put a piece of paper with the intention, the goal of my spell. And I put a little symbol on there as well, related to money. And I filled this with rice and coins and some basil, which is associated with money. Basically, any of the things that I could think about related to money, I put in here, and then I buried this. And I buried this with the intention that it would eventually be dug back up. So it didn't do any harm to the environment. I took the label off. I made sure it was just a clear jar with a green lid, and I got the job. So right when I thought that they had completely forgotten about me and there was no chance at all that I was going to be considered, I did eventually get that job, and then I dug this back up and disposed of the contents because the spell was done. So these are really, really good. You can use, if you don't have a jar and you need to do some sort of jar spell, use one of these. If you've got any of these in the cupboard that are sort of nearing the end, it might be that the herbal spice that's nearing the end that you've got a little bit left of it is actually helpful to your spell. But they're just a brilliant practical item, and I love practical witchcraft. And I thought about this as well. So these jars are absolutely brilliant. When you clean them up, it is a basic jar. My husband's actually going to use this one afterwards. He's turning into an old man with lots of like little jars with things in, including his what are those toffees called? The names just escape my mind, but Werther's Originals. So you go into his garage and you get given a Werther's Original. But these can be used for magic as well. So if you need a large jar for a spell, then you could use this. You could also use this for storage, for storing your herbs, storing tea lights or matches. You could use this for like a 7-day spell, to put a big candle in, because obviously it's quite a large receptacle if you compare it to this. But you could use it as a happiness jar. I think we did a happiness jar at the beginning of the year, but you can create one wherever. And you put little pieces of paper in each day to make a note of the things that made you happy or you're grateful for. And then it's quite addictive. As you see the jar filling up, it just makes you look out for those good things, because you want to cram it full. So a very, very good way of turning your mindset around. If you're particularly negative, then starting one of these is such a great idea. You could use this as a lantern. You could wire up using some wire. You could wire up a handle, and this could be particularly helpful if you need a light. If you're, I don't know, you're going to an event somewhere and it's outside and it's dark and you need a lantern and you haven't got time to go and buy one somewhere or order one, then you could use a jar like this. So everyday items are so good for witchcraft. They don't have to be fancy, you know, items that are dedicated to the job of witchcraft. Make, do, and mend. That way, you know, you'll always have something and you don't necessarily need to spend any extra money. Witchcraft should be easy and accessible and practical and flexible as well. So yeah, 2 household items that would otherwise go in for recycling, they'd go in the trash. This one is going to be reused by my husband, but it just reminded me to, you know, to talk about this and to pop it with this one, which I'd washed up as well this week. So yeah, very, very helpful.